Hi everyone, we are excited to have you here in today's fun-filled learning session at Uolo. Here is a quick look at how you can submit your work after the class. As a first step, go to live.uolo.com. You can use any browser to access this site. On this page, you will see a list of all our classes. Scroll down and you can see the Submit Your Work button. And then you will see a list of the classes that you've last attended, which could, for example, show the dance or craft or science experiment classes you've attended recently. Next, it will show you the list of children whose names are registered in this mobile number. Choose your name from this list to submit your work. For instance, if you are Satvik Kumar, choose that name. And then choose the class for which you would like to make your submission. For example, if you've attended the New Year's Masquerade Party session and you'd like to make the submission for this class, click on the Submit Your Work button below that. And then upload the photo you've taken. Choose the image from your phone and click Submit. You can scroll down and view all your past submissions and see how many of your friends or peers have liked your work. You can also see others' work and like their work to inspire your friends. If you want to showcase your work on social media, that too is very simple. Click on Share, copy the link and post it on Instagram or Facebook or any other platform of your choice. Just a tiny reminder, your submission looks a lot better if you could click a photo in the landscape mode rather than the portrait mode. Do not forget to tag us at YOLO_app. I'm eagerly looking forward to all your submissions right after this class.
Hey there, kids. How are you doing? Welcome to today's class. Today is actually the last class of our general knowledge courses that we've been going ahead and having. And it's been so nice to have you guys join in every class and see you guys learn so many facts, so much new information, so much about the world around us, and go ahead and illustrate that out. It's been such a wonderful journey to go ahead and do these many courses, or sorry, many classes with you as part of this course. Now, before we actually go ahead and get started with what we're going to go ahead and do today, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the certificate program that we have going on as well as your submissions. So firstly, in regard to the certificate program, make sure you're going ahead and doing all of your classes. That is, go ahead and attend all of your classes. Don't miss any of your classes, because then we won't really have a record if you miss any classes, that you've gone ahead and learned the skill that we are trying to teach you the way we are trying to teach you. So don't miss any of your classes. Second thing to keep in mind is to not go ahead and miss any of your submissions. Always go ahead and do all of your submissions on time, because if you go ahead and do so, again, we'll have a record of all the work that you've gone ahead and done. Now, like I've told you several times earlier, certificates are very important. You can go ahead and show it to your friends, your colleagues, your teachers in your school, whoever requires to know what kind of skills you have or what kind of skills you've developed. Going ahead and showing the certificate as to what you've done will make a huge difference in showcasing your skill. So always make sure to go ahead and have a certificate on you. Now, apart from that, I want to go ahead and also talk to you about your submissions in general. Always make sure to go ahead and do all of your submissions, irrespective of how you've done. We do have the concept of picking out a top 10 based on all of the classes, but I still feel, irrespective of how you're doing, whether you're doing good, whether you're doing bad, I still want you to go ahead and do your submissions, because it makes a huge difference in terms of what you're learning. Because A, you're learning the responsibility of doing a submission, and B, you're also going ahead and learning how to basically see how you're progressing. That is, as a teacher as well as a student, we're going to basically see the progress that you're making as part of every class. So the first class, second class, third class, every single time we make a submission, the difference that we see in it goes and gives us an idea of all of the progress that you have made. So always make sure to go ahead and do so. Now let's go ahead and talk a little bit about today's today's class. Now, today's class is going to be all about hospitals. Now, hospitals are a very, very important place. Even though we don't really think about it that often, even though we don't really, wonder or try to figure out what is there in a hospital, it is a very important place for a lot of reasons. Now, in this class, I want to obviously go ahead and highlight those few reasons as to why a hospital is very, very important, especially in these COVID times that we have going on. But apart from that, I also want to go ahead and give you sort of like an insight to how a hospital functions. I want to give you sort of like an insight of what all happens actually in an hospital. Because what happens is in this age, we don't really know what happens in a hospital. I remember when I was your age, I didn't at all know what was happening in a hospital. Maybe I went to a hospital once or twice when I was sick, or someone was unwell, but I didn't really know what was going on. And when I became an adult, I realized so many things happen in a hospital. And if I could go ahead and share that knowledge with anybody, it would be definitely you, because it could come to you somewhere later on in the future if you have an issue, someone in your family has an issue, or you genuinely need to visit a hospital. Having information about a hospital really, really helps. So let's go ahead and get started with the hospital. And if you're new to this class, then you know that, if you don't know, we always go ahead and illustrate what we're also going ahead and doing. So let's go ahead and, take the list of materials and start off with our illustration alongside our, um, you know, alongside our discussion about the hospital. All right, so the first thing that you need as part of today's class is going to be a sheet of paper. Here you can see I have a nice sheet of paper with me. You can go ahead and take a drawing book, you can go ahead and take a sketchbook, you can go ahead and take a journal book, a A4 size sheet of paper, loose drawing sheet of paper, whatever you have with you would work absolutely well. The next thing that you need for today's class is going to be a bunch of sketch pens. Now here you can go ahead and also have crayons if you want to go ahead and color this piece out later. But if you have sketch pens, that would work absolutely well as well. After this, we'll go ahead and actually start off with drawing of the hospital. Now, to I kind of indicate the hospital itself, I'm going ahead and drawing a plus symbol right at the center. Like you all know, whenever you see a hospital board, you always have this plus symbol right here, and this is sort of the marker for a hospital. So I've gone ahead and taken a little bit of a red sketch pen. I've gone ahead and drawn that plus, and then I'm going ahead and making it look a little 3D. So what I'm doing is I'm double lining this side of my piece, which is my right side of my piece right here. And you can go ahead and do this. You don't exactly have to follow the way I'm going ahead and doing it. I realized I did it in a little complicated manner, and then later I just go ahead and color it in. So you can just go ahead and color it in to create sort of like a 3D plus in order to give the indication of a hospital. And also I missed one spot right on top over there. So I'm going to go ahead and actually add in a little bit of a double line there as well. All right, now while you guys are drawing, let me go ahead and get started with my information for the day. Try to make sure that it's nice and neat. All right. So the first thing that I want to go ahead and discuss about the hospital basically is the hospital sign is itself. Now, like you all know, if you are somewhere in the world, wherever you are in the world, you always have to be aware of your surroundings. And a lot of the times, if you are in a new place, if you are in somewhere that you haven't really ever been before, but you are with family or a friend, and if there is some emergency that comes up, always look to certain things. That is, one is you look at a police station, or you will go ahead and look for a hospital. So if you are in need of a hospital, always look for this plus sign. Wherever this plus sign is available, you will always find a hospital, or you'll go ahead and find a pharmacy. Irrespective of what you find, you will always have a doctor. Even pharmacies do have doctors who are educated to a little bit in terms of medicine, so you will always find help. So the first thing that I wanted to go ahead and discuss was about the sign itself. Wherever you are, if you need to go ahead and you can't read the language, or you can't understand what they are saying, or you can't communicate with someone, just look at the sign and you will find a hospital nearby. Now, let's go ahead and actually discuss all about the hospital itself. If you have found a hospital, then what do you do, or what is the things that basically go on in a hospital? So, for this, the first thing that I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and take a blue color sketch pen and I'm going to go ahead and draw a lab coat. Now, this could be any form of coat, to be honest, even though I've named it right now as a lab coat. It could be a surgeon's coat, it could be a surgeon's gown, it could be anything. Irrespective of what it is just a simple coat, but this is sort of like an indicator for all of those people who actually work in the hospital. So to draw this, you can see I've gone ahead and done a V right in the center, then I've gone ahead and done the collar, then I did the shoulders, and now I'm going ahead and doing the arms, basically doing the coat arms, or the sleeves. Then I'm going to go ahead and attach that right to the bottom to kind of create the whole body of the coat itself, drawing a few buttons, and then I'm going to go ahead and draw a few pockets. Now, most doctors or surgeons or whoever will always have pockets in their coat. So I'm going ahead and drawing that as well right here. All right, so let's go ahead and actually discuss about the role of a doctor or whoever I'm indicating with this quote. Now, the first people that I want to indicate with this quote is going to be a doctor. Now, as you know, doctors are an essential to the whole hospital environment. You find doctors all around in clinics or hospitals helping us figure out what kind of issues that we have with our body, whether we have mental health issues, whether we have physical issues, whether we have internal body issues, whether we have dental issues, whatever it is. Doctors are the people who are educated in terms of giving us information about what is wrong with our body. They are the ones who actually go ahead and assess, figure out what to do. Now, in doctors as well, we just don't have simple doctors. We have doctors that actually treat different ailments. So that we're going to go ahead and discuss a little later. But what I also want to go ahead and tell you is doctors are not just as doctors. Doctors are also divided in different forms. So to give you an example, we have dentists who are basically specifically to the teeth. They work in a separate space. We also have people who are general physicians who are basically going to go ahead and diagnose an issue. That is, if you go ahead with a cough, if you go ahead with a cold, if you have a little bit of body pain, things like that, they'll go ahead and tell you what is basically happening to you. You also have doctors who basically go ahead and look at your skin, look at your hands, look at your arms, who'll go ahead and figure out again what is basically happening internally by basically looking at your externals. But you also have doctors who are surgeons. Now, surgeons are the people who basically will go ahead and perform any form of surgery if you have any issue. So, for example, let's say the general surgeon figures out that you are coughing a lot, but there's something wrong with your throat. Now, all general surgeons are not the ones who are going to be allowed to go ahead and operate on your throat. You have special doctors who are called surgeons who actually operate on your throat. So they are again a very important and vital set of people as part of our medical health care facilities, or part of the medical industry, who are a huge part because they actually go ahead and dig deeper into the internals workings of the whole body. Now, apart from doctors, we also have people who are our nurses. We also have different medical staff, people who work in hospital. Now, like nurses are very important. They are the people who go ahead and give us our medicines time to time. They are going ahead and checking our blood pressure, they're going ahead and checking if we have a fever, they're going ahead and checking how we're doing through the day, how we're sleeping, how we're eating, everything. Nurses are the people who are going to be going ahead and getting into those nitty-gritties of things. So I also want to go ahead and symbolize nurses with this lab coat that we have gone ahead and drawn here. This is sort of like a symbolization for every single person who actually works in a hospital in terms of the workings behind taking care of a patient. Now, the next thing that I want to go ahead and draw is sort of like a beaker with a few medicines. So here I'm going ahead and drawing sort of like a triangle with two lines coming on top, and I'm going to go ahead and do the opening of the beaker with a little bit of orange liquid in the beaker, after which I'm going to go ahead and draw sort of like a grade or gradation on itself, the beaker itself. And then I'm going to go ahead and draw two medicines. I'm going to go ahead and do an oval medicine, as well as I'm going to go ahead and do a circular medicine. Perfect. Now, in a hospital, apart from the concept of there being doctors who are actually sitting in their consultation rooms, or we have operation theaters wherein they're going ahead and actually performing their surgeries, we also have a whole team of people who are going to be in a hospital who work in terms of the research. So, these people are actually going ahead and doing research of all of the internal workings of your body. So, let's take for example COVID-19 itself. Now, before they actually came up with the vaccine, or before they came up with the concept of what the symptoms were for COVID-19, they actually needed to go ahead and research. So you do have a whole medical staff or a whole medical professional field sitting down in the hospital trying to figure out and do this research behind what is happening in terms of any particular human body, or those who are going ahead and figuring out in terms of particularly what is happening in terms of a virus, a bacteria, an infection, a yeast infection, whatever it is. So whatever they need to go ahead and research, you will always have a medical team or a staff that is going ahead and doing research. Now, research obviously does happen, like I said, in terms of figuring out what is happening internally, but also how to go ahead and treat it. So then hence I've gone ahead and draw those medicines, because that is the research department that discusses about what sort of medication can be given. So let's say if they're going ahead and creating paracetamol, let's say they're going ahead and creating a cough syrup, let's say someone is going ahead and creating a vaccine. All of these people also belong in hospitals. They might be working in research labs, but they are all affiliated to the healthcare industry, and they're all affiliated to doctors itself. So, second thing that you will always find in hospitals, or maybe as independent units, apart from doctors, nurses, and the whole medical staff that you basically see running a hospital, you will always find people who are behind research. Now, the next thing that I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm taking my green color sketch pen, and I'm actually going to go ahead and draw sort of like a clipboard with a little bit of a paper on it with a little bit of scribbles mentioned on it. Now, can you think about what I'm going here with? Just give it a guess. All right. So the thing that I want to go ahead and identify or sort of point out with this clipboard is basically that section of the hospital that basically does all of your lab testings. Now, sometimes we may not actually have an illness. Sometimes we may not really have a lot of an issue, but we do go to the hospital to get our blood drawn. We do go ahead and get X-rays. We do go ahead and get scans. We do go ahead and get MRIs. All of them are also a very big vital part of the hospital. It's the testing portion of the hospital, wherein there is a whole medical staff and a whole medical team that is going to be going ahead and helping you out in figuring out what is happening internally. Now, a general physician or a physician in general will go ahead and figure out what is happening once they know what's inside, what is happening inside. So a lot of the times when they draw your blood, they'll come to know your sugar levels, your blood pressure levels, they'll come to know your thyroid levels, many levels that are there as part of our body. Happens all through tests, happens all through blood tests. So figuring that part out. And also sometimes if it's not just related to your blood, maybe let's say it's related to a bone, that is you've hurt a bone and it's hurting a lot, whether it's a muscle pain or whether it's a broken limb, whatever it is, they're going to figure out by scans. A lot of the times they also take brain scans, they take abdominal scans. If someone is pregnant and they're going to have a baby, they're going to be doing ultrasounds. So you have a whole field of people who are basically sitting down and doing your whole testing portion of it. So that is the third part that you basically see as part of a hospital. In our new age day, that we also have COVID testing that takes place. So apart from doctors, surgeons, nurses, a testing staff specifically for figuring out viruses or medicines, we also have testing in terms of blood work, and we also have testing in terms of scans, or currently things like the virus, the coronavirus, which is also part of the testing scheme. Now, the next thing that is something that is very, very important, or a very big department of a hospital, is going to be ambulance. Now, here, this part, even though it's not always inside an ambulance, is a very, very vital part. So, here I've gone ahead and taken my pink color sketch pen and drawn my ambulance. So, you can see really, really easily drawn. I'm drawing a plus on it to sort of give that identification that it's an ambulance. And I'm also going to go ahead and draw sort of like a siren on top again to kind of give the information that it's a ambulance. Now, the reason I've gone ahead and drawn an ambulance is because it's another a very, very important and integral part of a hospital itself. So apart from these few departments, like I mentioned, of surgery, of consultation, of testing and research, you have something called the emergency unit, or the emergency department, or a trauma department of any hospital. Now, the trauma department or the emergency part of the hospital is always going to have ambulances that are going to be working. So it is part of the internal functioning and as well as the external functioning of the hospital. Now, every hospital is going to always have an emergency unit, which is basically going to be a set of people waiting if there are any sudden calamities. So let's say there is someone who has a sudden fall on the road, then what is going to happen is an ambulance is going to go emergency, going to go ahead, pick them up, take them to the hospital, and there's going to be that emergency unit that's going to immediately figure out what is happening to this person. Now, a lot of times there can be emergency cases that come up that not necessarily will be falls and things like that. It could be a sudden cold, could be a sudden cough, suddenly someone became unconscious. So what do? So this whole unit of an emergency department was created for the same reason, to sort of help out whenever these kind of situations come into play. So an ambulance plays a vital role basically outside the hospital, from carrying going to the place where the person is, bringing that person to the hospital, having all of the basic needs and necessities within the ambulance to get the person to the hospital. And then finally, the hospital itself has an emergency unit with a set of people specifically to just cater to emergencies whenever there's a huge issue or a big issue that comes up. So now these are the four sections that we have gone ahead and discussed as part of a hospital. And now let's go ahead and discuss the internal nitty-gritties of a hospital. So all of the internal nitty-gritties of a hospital is something that I came to know later on in the future. I did not know that there are so many different departments or parts of a hospital. So let me go ahead and give you sort of an idea of what could happen. So first, for that, I want to draw it out, and then explanation of it would make it easier. So here I'm going ahead and taking a purple color sketch pen, and I'm going to go ahead and draw different parts of our body. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with the kidneys here. I'm gone ahead and kept the drawing simple so that it's not too complicated for you. So here you can see I'm going ahead and drawing the kidneys. Then I'm going to go ahead and draw the lungs. Don't worry about the drawing. You can take your time drawing it while I go ahead and talk to you about what I'm going to talk to you now. So just go ahead and see how I'm drawing it, and then you can draw it while I'm talking. So here I've gone ahead and done the lungs. Then I'm going to go ahead and draw the brain. So as you can see, drawing the brain really, really simply, easily. And then I'm going to go ahead and draw the stomach. And finally, once I am done with my stomach, I'm also going to go ahead and draw the liver. Now, what do I mean by these different parts of the body? Now, why have I actually gone ahead and drawn these different parts of the body? Now, the reason I've gone ahead and drawn these different parts of the body is because our hospital system, that is any hospital that you basically go to, has a different departments for different things that are there in our body. So to give you an example, we have several different organs, we have several different functions, we have several different areas of our body that need to be taken care of. So to give you an idea, the kidney is basically taking care of our urine system or our water intake system. The lungs are taking care of our breathing. The brain is taking care of our thinking and functioning of the whole body. Stomach, digestion, liver also part of the digestive system. Now all of these parts are different parts of the body, and in the same way as there are different parts of the body, you also have different departments in a hospital taking care or catering to each of these parts of the body. So let's say, for example, let's talk about the heart. Now the heart is basically taken care of by a set of people called cardiosurgeons. They are all the people who are only specifically created, a department specifically created only to take care of all of your heart related issues. So if anybody is having any heart related issues, if you go to a hospital, ask for the cardio department, because they're going to be the people who are going to be in charge of it. Now in the same manner, you also have the brain. Everybody who's going to be going ahead and catering to the brain is called the neuro department or the neurological department. These are the people who are going to be working with the brain. You also have neurosurgeons who are basically going to do surgery for the brain. Then you basically have people who are taking care of digestion. So for example, you have gastroenterologists who are basically going to be the people who are going to be taking care of stomach issues. In the same manner, for someone who has skin issues, they will have a dermatologist who is going to be taking care of your skin. So something to keep in mind is that every hospital is going to be divided into different sections depending on the number of divisions they want to have. An hospital can have several divisions wherein they can have several specialities. So by specialities, I mean things like this itself, whether it's related to the brain, heart, stomach, kidney, liver, whatever. So different specialities. So depending on how many doctors they have for every specialty, depending on how many nurses they have for different specialities, depending on how many operation theaters they have for different specialities, depending on the kind of how big the hospital is itself, every hospital will have divisions like this. Now all hospitals may not have divisions like this. They might just have simple things like a general surgery, and they might have just testing and a simple ambulance for emergency. But big hospitals like multi-speciality hospitals will tend to have many kinds of issues that are dealt with in the same hospital. Now it's okay if you go to a hospital that does not necessarily have all of the functionings or all of the departments, because if they do not have someone who can specialize in it or who cannot cater to it, they will send you elsewhere who can go ahead and cater to it. So don't really worry about it. You have several hospitals around you and several specific spaces where people can help you out and cannot help you out. So never worry about going to hospital and wondering, will they be able to solve my problem, will they have this department or not. Now, one thing that I also want to go ahead and tell you basically is that every department or every surgeon or every nurse or someone, whoever you meet in a hospital, is specifically trained in order to cater to you generally as well. So when I mean, if you generally have a basic fall, you have a basic cold, you have a basic cough, you have basic stomach issues, every doctor will basically know what to go ahead and do in regard to it. So don't worry if you have something which is very simple and basic. If you have something that is very complicated, then you might need to go to a multi-speciality hospital, or whoever is unwell, you might need to go ahead and take them to a multi-speciality hospital. Now here I've gone ahead and discussed about the different parts of the hospital. I've gone ahead and spoken about doctors, nurses. I've gone ahead and spoken about researchers in terms of viruses, infections, medicines. I've gone ahead and spoken about testing like lab testing, blood work, COVID testing. I've gone ahead and spoken to you about the emergency department, and then I've gone ahead and given you sort of like a guide of all of the other simple departments that we basically have in a hospital. So next time you go to a hospital, keep your eyes open, have a look at which doctor belongs to which department. Does a specific nurse belong to a specific department, or is it a hospital that has basically everything in it, or does not have? What is the hospital basically catering to? Every hospital has a different functioning and a management and a way they are functioning, so keep an eye and try figuring out what they're basically doing over there. Now, I can see that all of you have gone ahead and done a wonderful job with your drawing. So, excellent job, everybody. I am so happy and proud of all of your drawings. Excellent job. Now, for today's class, your submission is going to be to go ahead and submit the drawing that you've gone ahead and done with me right now. If you haven't gone ahead and done this submission, if you've not gone ahead and done all of your drawing perfectly, that's completely all right. Your body organs may not be as neat, but that's completely all right. You can also go ahead and color it up if you like, but that's completely optional based on whether you want to or you don't want to. I'm so glad to have you guys attend all of these classes of my general knowledge course. It's been so wonderful. Just a couple of things before we wind up. Firstly, don't miss any of your classes, don't miss any of your submissions, and do your submissions irrespective of how you're done. Excellent job, everyone, today, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Hi everyone, we are excited to have you here in today's fun-filled learning session at Uolo. Here is a quick look at how you can submit your work after the class. As a first step, go to live.uolo.com. You can use any browser to access this site. On this page, you will see a list of all our classes. Scroll down and you can see the Submit Your Work button. And then you will see a list of the classes that you've last attended, which could, for example, show the dance or craft or science experiment classes you've attended recently. Next, it will show you the list of children whose names are registered in this mobile number. Choose your name from this list to submit your work. For instance, if you are Satvik Kumar, choose that name. And then choose the class for which you would like to make your submission. For example, if you've attended the New Year's Masquerade Party session and you'd like to make the submission for this class, click on the Submit Your Work button below that. And then upload the photo you've taken. Choose the image from your phone and click Submit. You can scroll down and view all your past submissions and see how many of your friends or peers have liked your work. You can also see others' work and like their work to inspire your friends. If you want to showcase your work on social media, that too is very simple. Click on Share, copy the link and post it on Instagram or Facebook or any other platform of your choice. Just a tiny reminder, your submission looks a lot better if you could click a photo in the landscape mode rather than the portrait mode. Do not forget to tag us at YOLO_app